Sorry,
and summoning
I
of...
think it might be April, May?
I put a date for you to cross-check.
Yes.
My record would seem to suggest June 26th. But I'm saying by then...
They appeared again in June, if I'm not mistaken. But
No,
I think the first appearance was...
I stick to my date that audit report was made available to IDEC no earlier than June 2026.
Okay.
Now, if that report was intended to shore up this Section 27, then I would have expected investigations to stop or not be initiated pending receipt of the report, the audit report, because that would tell you, give you some facts to determine whether or not your mandate is met. But based on what we know has happened, it sounds like, it would appear like, and that's how it appears, I'm happy to be corrected. Upon receipt of this particular affidavit, investigations were triggered, resulting in arrests, and I think appearances in court already. And after all that happened, then the internal audit report came in.
I will have to find out.
Assuming I'm correct in my assessment, I guess you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, this is particularly interesting because this contract, yes, was engaged with to some extent before the commission, and that could potentially have been a source of information for IDEC. But absent a valid Section 27 affidavit, that information would have had to be held in abeyance until your own investigation is formalized and not acted upon. Now we know at least it culminated in the arrest of a couple of people, but I'm interested for the moment in the summons of General Masemola. You recall we started at page 586 of the ad hoc, where Mr. Ngola asked you whether there's a coordinated attack by IDEC against Generals Masemola, Kumalo, and Kwanazi. And I think it was Ms. Sangoni as well asked about the investigations against Masemola and Kwanazi, and you said there was nothing at the time. This is November 2025. Just if you can go back to page 592. We looked at it earlier, midway that page. If my timing is correct, this is November 25.
May I just quickly
Yes.
Find out whether Mr. Michaels shared what he just gave to us with Mr. Podlani and his team, please? Thank you. Sorry for that.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
It's a different issue. It will come to you, Advocate Johnson, in a short while. If we could turn our attention to page 592.
In fact, with Advocate Johnson as well, please, if there's a
Yes.
copy to spare.
We'll turn our attention to that in a moment, Advocate Johnson. It's the exercise that,
the chair had asked, yes.
had asked us
I will
to
be
do.
coming back to you with my questions on that. Thank
Okay.
you.
I just want to wrap up this issue. So now you are at the ad hoc in November 2025. You are specifically asked whether there are investigations into General Masemola and General Mkhwanazi, and you said, apart from those inherited matters from IPID, there are none. One of two things, you might be correct that there were no investigations into both, insofar as the Matlala contract is concerned. Regard being had to the fact that you received the affidavit in June, or you might have misled ad hoc when you at least claim that General Masemola is not under investigation for anything. Because for you to have been correct, it would mean General Masemola's, I'll take it, involvement in the corruption relating to the contract came to the fore, insofar as IDEC is concerned, only after November 2025. Would that thinking be correct?
At the time when I was at ad hoc, he was not the subject of the investigation.
That's a fact, okay?
That's a fact.
All right.
And
So-
it is much, much later on in the investigation that it came to my attention that he is now a subject of the investigation.
And that would definitely not have been on the strength of the internal audit report, because on my contention, that audit report was availed to IDEC in June 2026, and by then they'd been charged already. So there's another basis on which IDEC relied to impugn wrongdoing on his part after November 2025.
Correct.
That's the summary. Okay. Chair, before we go forward and deal then with some detail as regards this, perhaps the chair would like us to deal with the issue of the PKTT and the disbandment or purported disbandment, whatever the correct legal position is, of the PKTT. The chair had requested that we scan the landscape and try and determine the extent to which this matter was addressed in the public domain and in newspapers. And we are indebted to our head of communications, Mr. Jeremy Michaels, who undertook this massive task for us. You have before you, Chair, a summary prepared by Mr. Michaels on this question. And Chair, I'll leave it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sililo. You signed the summons we were debating, the summons which at paragraph 6 of annexure, is it annexure B? Yes.
Yes.
Refers to the PKTT. And when you were engaged on this, you suggested that you would have to, or rather people who would have to answer to this were those that made the recommendation that related to this part of annexure B. And this was on the basis, as I understood you, that you were not quite sure of the issue that related to the PKTT. Am I correct in my summary thus far?
You are correct, Chair.
I specifically asked you whether, if you were aware that there was an issue around the PKTT and its disbandment, you would not have been alert in your mind and raised specific issues with regard to this paragraph 6. And you said you would. I also asked you about whether, if this was publicized, the issue of the purported disbandment or disbandment of the PKTT, if it was out there, whether you would have been aware of that. And you said you would have been. And I even said to you, I hope that your escape route will not be that, oh, it was only publicized by such and such a media house. I don't go there at all. No. And you said, I read all media.
Correct.
Now, let us have a look at what you have just been given. There it opens with, there were numerous articles in broadcast, electronic, print, online. I'm not sure what the difference is between electronic and print. I'm not a media specialist, regarding the disbandment of the PKTT. And this goes further and says that there were even social media posts on the subject. And the period is from 1 January 2025, the 1st of January being the very first day after Minister Kunu's late night letter of the 31st of December 2024. And this goes on and says the wide coverage covers the period up to 15 April 2025. You see that?
I see that, Chair.
Would you say that what's been captured in this document is perhaps inaccurate, or would you accept that it must be accurate?
I would have to accept that it is accurate.
Now, you said that you do follow media publications, so you must have seen publications around the disbandment of the PKTT, correct?
Correct, Chair.
And you would also have seen that it was a controversial subject, correct?
It was, yes.
It was. Now, this takes me back to my question about paragraph 6 of annexure B. Why is it? Because you suggested this morning that no alarm bells rang in your mind about paragraph 6. Why is that so? If there was such wide coverage of this subject, a controversial subject, why did alarm bells not ring in your mind? And why would you, in those circumstances, not have asked, but what's this got to do with the PKTT? The investigations that we are embarking upon as IREC, what have those got to do with the PKTT? Why was your mind not put on an inquiry in that regard?
I do not dispute the information, and I do not dispute that I should have asked questions. I don't know what questions I asked, if any. And so I take it that, Chair, I signed it as I signed it.
This morning, you can't get off that easily, Advocate Johnson. This morning, you basically suggested that you were not really aware that, as at the time you signed this summons, you were aware that there was any issue about the PKTT.
Correct.
And also that, not only that, but that the issue raised some controversy, correct?
Correct.
Now, as someone who follows the media, and with such wide coverage, and with you now accepting that you would have seen this, I want to understand why no alarm bells rang in your mind with regard to this issue. A very crucial issue affecting the criminal justice system. Why is that so? Or why was that so, as at the time you signed the summons? It cannot be enough to just say you just signed. That's not enough.
No.
Why did you sign on something that's controversial, or that was controversial at the time? Why did you just go ahead and sign?
It is one of two things, and it's not an excuse, Chair. Either I engaged and was engaged with Mr. Perumal and was satisfied with whatever answer I got. However, it comes back to what I said. I was unaware of a PKTT investigation, and so I should have asked deeper questions. I cannot tell you why I didn't ask deeper questions.
Exactly. Continue.
And what I'm saying is I'm not looking for an excuse for, I'm saying, should I have? I appreciate that I should have, and that I didn't ask deeper questions, and I did sign it. I cannot get away from the fact that I did sign it.
It's crucial that you say you were not aware of a PKTT investigation. And this was an issue that was topical, and not only topical, but also controversial, you've accepted. So you are not aware of a PKTT investigation as at the time, but you go ahead and you sign. That's very difficult to understand. Unless there's something you're not telling us.
Not at all, Chair. And when you look at the sign, that document talks to, I think it talks to, three. When we look at the top, Chair, paragraph 1 talks to the deviation of appointment of Lieutenant General Commando. And when I looked at paragraph 6 during one of the breaks, the original, the original documentary files and applications for promotions of the commanders and members of the political killings task team through deviation. They tied in to the deviation process. But that doesn't take away, again, Chair, it doesn't take away from the fact.
It doesn't address what I'm raising with you, which is at paragraph 6 of Annex B. That simply does not answer the question. Does it?
I dealt with it as the deviation, but I'm coming back to what Chair is asking.
Yes, I'm asking you about paragraph 6 of Annex B. What you just read now does not address that.
I understand.
That has nothing to do with deviations, which we've just referred to. This is about inquiring into promotions of commanders and members of the PKTT. So the entire body of the PKTT, that has nothing to do with the deviations you've just referred to. So you've not answered my question.
Chair, I can't take it further than the answer I gave. I should have asked more. I don't have a sinister reason for not having asked more. I didn't ask more.
All right.
Whatever the discussion we may have had, I appreciate not appreciate, I accept your point that I should have asked more, so why didn't I? And I don't have an answer for why I didn't ask more, or why I don't have a better explanation. I can take it only so far.
Yeah. Let me.
I want to suggest, as you continue with the chair, that another possibility is you knew what this was about. And you knew exactly why the PKTT is in that paragraph 6. That's another possibility. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's exactly why I even asked, isn't there something you're not telling us?
Not at all, Chair.
But can you answer the question raised by Commissioner Balwe directly? You heard it.
She'll repeat for me. Mayor, please repeat.
Yes, I was saying, well, the other possibility is you knew and understood why the PKTT was in that paragraph 6, or why that paragraph 6 was in there.
It's simply inexplicable. It is simply inexplicable that you would not have addressed this. Not when you accept that this was not only topical, but it was also controversial. So alarm bells should have rung in your head that you did nothing. What that tells us, subject to your response, is you must have known what was going on, or not?
Chair, I can't take it any further. I accept your point.
You accept that
I accept your point because
that you knew what was going
I
on.
must have known because there's nothing else I have to gainsay it. I followed your logic.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is, in the absence of something to gainsay it, I'm going to be talking in circles and rambling on at this part of the afternoon, which none of us want.
If you knew it and it had nothing to do with what was being investigated, you've said in so many words that the PKTT was not being investigated. So if you knew, why did you sign this when it included something about the PKTT which was not being investigated? If, as you say, you knew about it. Or at best for you, you must have known about it.
At best, I must have.
So why did you sign it? You know that the PKTT is not being investigated and you accept that you must have known. Why would you have signed this? Why did you not cross out number 6 of Annex B?
I know it may not make sense, Chair, but I followed the line of what they were asking. And for me, it went back to promotions of the commanders and members through deviation, because we were dealing with deviation right from the top, and we were dealing with appointments.
That's still... Finish.
So that is how it followed for me. I accept it may not make sense to anybody else, but I followed that sequence of appointments, deviations. There are allegations that there are promotions of the commanders through deviation. We were talking about promotion of an appointment of Lieutenant General Khumalo by deviation. So it made sense in that regard. But what the questions were that I asked,
That reasoning simply does not make sense, because 6 is about the entire complement of the PKTT. You would have to be suggesting that you thought that deviation applied throughout the entire complement of PKTT, which simply does not make sense. You could not have believed that at the time. So your answer is a non-answer, Advocate Johnson.
Chair, I agreed with you, and I'm sticking to that agreement.
You agree even with the last proposition?
I agree with your last proposal. I can't come up with something different in my head at the moment. This happened early last year.
Yes.
I have no other recollection or something to trigger my mind.
Yes.
I did think that by talking to Mr. Perumal, it might have triggered my mind. I'm not saying I would have come with a better answer, but that is the answer I have to make peace with.
The problem, just to add with a deviation point, is that as you read it, it's person-specific. That's number one. Number two, when you look at number 6, it's
quite wide.
Not just wide, it covers the entire spectrum. It refers to all PKTT members, from commanders all the way down to the most junior. It covers, so for that reason, you just cannot rely on the point about deviation.
I accept the Chair's proposal.
Yeah. Now let me make a different point. Having seen what we showed you now about publications, and with you having said you do follow the media, I want to suggest to you that you were not truthful when you suggested that you were not really aware of any issues around the PKTT which would have caused alarm bells to ring in your mind. That is why we went into this exercise of finding the extent to which the issue of the disbandment of the PKTT was publicized. So for you to have even suggested that, no, alarm bells could not have rung in my head, to have suggested that when in fact it was publicized as widely as it appears to have been, you were not being truthful this morning.
No, Chair. The alarm bells not going on does not take away the fact that I may have seen some, if not all of this. There were no alarm bells for me and for IDEC. This had been it was a police matter at the time that it was being canvassed. We were not working with the PKTT at the time. I have colleagues in KZN who work with them. But the alarm bells didn't have to go on because it wasn't within our space and it didn't affect any of the work that we were doing. So, of course, there's a lot of discussions, Chair, some unpleasant, and there was a lot of toing and froing between the police and the police ministry and the provincial head for KZN. That was alive and clear, but it didn't raise alarm bells for IDEC at the time.
It should have, exactly because this was topical, this was controversial, and you say, as at the time you signed the summons, you knew that there were no investigations against the PKTT. So your mind should have said, hey, this thing is so topical. What's being said here about the PKTT? It's in that sense that I'm raising this with you, and I'm suggesting that you were not truthful this morning.
No, Chair, I stand by what I say about it didn't raise alarm bells for me. I appreciate your point, however, that it should have. I didn't misconstrue anything I said. I appreciate the different view, and I accept your different view, but it didn't raise alarm bells at the time.
You must just conclude this by saying, I find it strange that it didn't, as you suggested, it did not.
And I take note of you, Chair.
And subject to our further weighing up of the evidence, let me outright say that I find it hard to believe what you are saying in this regard. Your comment?
It's up to the Chair and the Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Advocate Johnson, I need to take you back to the two main questions that were posed to you in the summons. And you answered them in paragraphs 8 to 10 of your supplementary statement dated 10 July 2026. And question 2.1 was about whether IDEC has acted within its mandate. And you said IDEC operates strictly within its mandate, and you set out what the mandate is. And then in paragraph 10, are you there?
Sorry, Chair.
It's page 4 of your supplementary statement. Are you there?
I'm at
Yes,
page
so
4.
paragraphs 8 to 10, you were responding to question 2.1 in the summons. So paragraph 8, IDEC strictly operates within its mandate, and then paragraph 10, IDEC has not dealt with matters outside of its mandate. Now, do you stand by those paragraphs in light of the discussion you have had with Chair and Commissioner Baloy? And in light of what we have discussed for most of the day, the various cases that IDEC has dealt with, at least in the last 2-3 years?
I stand by paragraph 9 because it deals with the commissions.
No, that one is clear.
That is fine.
That one is clear. 8 and 10.
Item 10.
Can you still say, after all we've discussed, that IDEC has not dealt with matters outside of its mandate? Can you still say that?
No, Chair.
Chair, before
Yes.
we break perhaps for a
yes.
short breather and to determine how far we take it today, may I just finalize in one issue with the witness, which is relevant to to the discussion that the Chair...
When we take that adjournment, if between you and Mr. Bodlani, you could have a discussion and then come to us outside, just indicate how long.